Okay. Good evening, everyone. So sorry, right? The network was just. Glad we're finally starting. How are we doing? Please, if you can hear me, confirm that you can hear me loud and clear. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from today. Okay, thank you for your patience. If you can hear me, if you can hear me, please confirm that you can hear me, please. So that we can start up. Hello. Yes, because I didn't want anybody to miss this, right? So I'm streaming both on YouTube and on Facebook. Okay. Today we're going to be looking at trauma. Of course, we're introducing trauma today. That means that in the next couple of weeks, we are going to be looking at trauma, right? For today, we are doing the introduction. Okay, so we're introducing trauma today. And somehow, it's one word that we use. We talk about it very often. Trauma. We hear, I'm traumatized. Yes, people say it now and then. But today, we're going to be looking at what trauma is, affects us as parents, as business as children. Like I said, it's a series thing rather than we're just starting today. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be dealing with trauma. Okay, so please confirm you can hear me. Please confirm you can hear me so that we can go. On Facebook, can you hear me? Let me try to increase the volume. Good. Okay, I think I see it thumbs up. So I assume that you can hear me. Okay, so let's go. So what's trauma? Now, trauma is not just what happens to a person. It is how we also respond to an incident, to an event that happened to us. It is not also what we think happens inside of us. It's also what we show to others as a result of what has happened to us. Right. Now, when we have that feeling of overwhelm, yes, we are overwhelmed, we feel unsafe about a person or an event, you feel helpless, or we think we do not have enough support to pull through life, to pull through an event, then of course we want to say that we're traumatized. So when you're always overwhelmed, you feel you can't ask for help, and you're helpless, you don't have enough support, and of course you want to look at that as trauma. But hey, as parents, of course, you know I'm a child counselor, right? Oh, thank you, Vincent. Vincent is can hear me. Thank you, right? I'm a child counselor, so of course, basically, I'll be going more right into how it affects children, teenagers, and even we. Don't worry, I'm going to cover everybody. Okay, so trauma is anything that overwhelms a child's ability to cope and make. So your child, for instance, right? Anything that makes your child feel unsafe, anything that makes your child feel unsafe, anything that is overwhelming for your child, is your child unable to ask for help, is your child deeply afraid that something might happen, even when you feel that, hey, I mean, this place is safe, there's no other person here, you know, that's trauma. So your child's ability to cope and make them feel safe, of course, is a responsibility for us parents. So, is there anything that your child talks about, and then as he or she is telling you about it, Or, of course, they are displaying it in their appearance. And then, of course, you're looking at this child and saying, you know, what's happening here? You want to go to a party or to a place, and your child is saying, no, he or she doesn't feel like going. They feel unsafe. It happens the first time. It could be, let's say, for instance, you want to go to a family house and your child is not happy. The child is saying, I don't want to go, for instance. If it happens the first time, you may feel that maybe she doesn't want to see one auntie or one, or maybe, sometimes we just rule it out as though it's not important. And then maybe we even drag the child. Let's go, we must go visit that uncle, we must go visit that auntie. Now, if it happens repeatedly, so when our child feels overwhelmed, when they are particular about a place or an event, then it's a sign that speaks trauma to them. I'm trying to break this thing down, right, so that we can truly understand what trauma is. Right. So when it happens repeatedly, and of course, you are saying, okay, so the first time, maybe 2 months ago, my child said no. It happened 3 weeks ago, my child said no. He or she doesn't want to go to the place. It happens again. You should be able to connect the dot that something is wrong somewhere. So children really, if you check them, naturally they like adventure. They want to travel, they want to go visit places. But if that teenager is withdrawing over time, then I think you want to pay attention to it. Now, as parents, there are different types of trauma, right? That's acute trauma. And then, of course, this is trauma that happens once in a lifetime or once. For instance, if your child was involved in an accident, right? There's a tendency that that child might not want to travel. If it happens along a particular road, could be that anytime that child remembers, sees the road, right? They remember what happened, they remember the accident. But acute is just once, right? It happens just once, and that's it. For instance, a child who was bitten by a dog. I've dog pursued you before, right? So if dog has pursued you before, or turkey, is this turkey like turkey, fowl turkey? Have any of them pursued you before? Okay, so I remember for me, let me share my experience. You know these chicken. I so dread them. When you say mother hen and our small babies, I am afraid of them. Because I can remember a story and I will share. When I was little, this should be 1996. You see that I did not forget it. In 1996, a mother hen was with our chicks, right? That's what they call small fowls, chicks. And they were going. In my good mind, I saw that the chicken, right? The chicks, one of them had tied, rope tied the chicken's leg, and the chicken could no longer move. In my goodness, and I said, okay, let me help this chicken. And that's how the mother hen turned back and saw me with the chicken. This mother hen pursued me. Hey, I ran for my. He pursued me. I ran. I left the chicken, I mean the chick. I left the chick, but it pursued me to the extent that I had to climb, these rails in buildings. I climbed the rail, but even at that, the mother still pegged me before it came down. And so anytime I see mother hen with her children with her chicks, I don't go near. Now that's a one-time incident that happened. That's an acute trauma. But I still remember, right? So our children could have just one event, right? It just has happened once. It could be, for instance, rape. It could be a dog bite. Just could be like a story I shared. It could be an accident, right? So acute just happened once, but it's traumatic for the child. Another type of trauma could be chronic trauma, right? And then, of course, this is an ongoing situation. For instance, a child who is constantly beaten. Every day you beat this child. Every day the child is being neglected. Maybe the child has to cry for food. Every day the child is watching daddy beat mommy or mommy insulting daddy, right? If it happens, it's ongoing. It's not a once and for all situation. If it's ongoing, then of course it's a chronic trauma. And so children who experience this on a regular basis could be traumatized, right? The third form of trauma is complex. So this is, of course, as acute is on, right? Chronic is ongoing. But the trauma that occurs in relationships, especially when it comes to doing with how we relate with our children themselves, and then of course it's repeated. It just has a way of flowing in their brains, right? For instance, emotional abuse by people who are supposed to care for them, by we parents, by the caregivers, when we abuse these children emotionally, then of course to be complex. The complex could be a combination too of both acute and chronic, right? Yes. So it could be one time, it could be, but then once they get, they're always exposed to that event, right? Yes. Okay. So for instance, if a child, another example, because I'm trying to make us understand this. For instance, if a child gets lost in a supermarket, you know how big some markets are, right? And then you take a child to, I don't know if you know the water market, um, or I mean, Faford, yes, I've been there before. These are big markets. Now imagine if that child gets missing there. This fear, the child, of course, will not always want to go to the market. But again, there could be this feeling of I was abandoned, right? But A, it could just be that you were going together and you know how these people hit you, right? They could hit you here and there and they get missing. So the child could just feel that I'm unsafe, I've been abandoned. But again, anytime the child remembers that market, this scenario, it brings trauma to that child, right? Amazing. Now, what causes trauma? We're just trying to lay foundation, of course, upon which we are going to continue building. What causes trauma in a child? So many things can cause trauma. I talked about accidents before, right? I've talked about animal bites, dog bites, chicken pet, and all of that. This can cause trauma, abuse, emotional, verbal, sexual abuse. All of this can cause trauma in a child, right? And of course, there are some trauma, like of course everybody can. You see a child who was involved in an accident, and then she tells you the story of how she was in an accident, or how I recounted my story for you now. It's obvious, right? But there are some that except the child tells you that this is what has happened to me, you just keep wondering why is this child behaving like this? Why is this child behaving like this? So, for instance, a child who does not have a secure attachment while growing up. So the child is crying, nobody comes to pick the child, or a child cries today, she receives help. The next time the child is crying, nobody nobody is there to offer help. Right? Such unpredictable patterns can actually also cause trauma in children. Yes. So when a child has been body shamed, we are not there. If he or she doesn't tell you that in my class, in my school, they body shame me, they insult me, they bully me. You might not know, right? Um, when a child at home is talking, and every time your child is talking, you tell the child, shut up. At times we don't say shut up, but a child is talking and then we are not listening. Once a child feels unheard, unloved, yes, and then of course they really do not have their voice. You see them, of course, withdrawing, not saying anything, but hey, that's trauma for them because when they grow up, they are not used to speaking up because they're not used to speaking out because while little, my mom will tell me shut up, and dad will tell me shut up, or they'll be like, what do you have to say? Who is talking to you? Who called you here? Right now, those as little as that can be can cause trauma for a child. Daddy and mommy is quarreling, they're going through divorce, they are going through separation. That can cause trauma for a child, right? So at times, when people say that whatever you do, make sure that you consider the children. As a parent, you have lost the right to live anyhow. You cannot just live anyhow because you have a child. You have a child. So while we are going through divorce, it's only the only good thing I think you can do for your child at that process is also get a counselor for that child. Because the child has so many ideas going through his or her head. She might be thinking, maybe mom doesn't love me anymore, daddy doesn't love me anymore. How will I cope? So whose house will I be going to? Will I have a new daddy? Will I have a new mommy? At times, you know how women we are angry and then we say, if not because of this child I have for you, I'd have left since. And you are lucky, oh, and this child is the one tying me down, you know, or I don't know why I got married to you. I will get marrying you. This child, you're angry with your spouse. It's fine, but then you're trying to explain, and then you're calling the child. You're saying that it's not because of this child. Maybe you'd have left the marriage. Not because of this child, it'd have been better. For some of us, life happens. Maybe I see you're welcome. Life happens, and maybe you dropped out of school while pregnant, and you gave birth to a child, you could not continue school. You now, all the frustration is now on the child. I mean, the child did not beg to be born. Trust me, that child, no child, did any child come to meet you that, hey, I want to be born? No, no child. No child came to meet you to say, I want to be born. So we gave birth to the child, whether it's in wedlock or outside wedlock. So when you pour out your frustration on your children, you're traumatizing them. You go to work, your boss shouts at you, you're not happy, you did not deliver well. You come back home, hey, daddy, 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 hey, mommy, 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 mommy. And then instead of you opening your hands to say, hey, child, how are you? How was your day? Okay, I had not so good day. I'll come back to you, we'll talk later. No. The child is coming, you're pushing out the child. The child is coming, and then all the frustration, the words you cannot tell your boss. You now come back and then you tell your child. That's what most of us do, right? So all of these can cause trauma for a child. Because a child can actually grow up to say, you know what, I will not want to work in some places. Why? Because he knows that anytime daddy comes back from work, he's always shouting. Daddy comes back from work, he's angry. So a child that thing can register in a child's head as no, some kind of work is not good. Again, anything can cause trauma to a child. So we have to be very careful so that we are not building emotional baggages for our children to deal with when they grow up. Okay, now it's very important to know that anything our children turns trauma, sincerely is trauma for them. And that's why to check, I didn't really give you definition of trauma. I only told you it's an event or a place or a person that makes our children feel unsafe, right? That makes them feel helpless. So that you don't come and say, this is trauma. So it could be anything for a child, right? Cool. So how do we respond to trauma? Very important. How do we respond to trauma the parent? Now there's some things you need to watch out for in your child, right? So that you know if this child is traumatized or not. Number one is withdrawal. Like I said before, it's holiday time now, and you're already planning on where to ship. I don't know why I like using that word. You're already planning on where to ship your child or children to. Of course, you're already thinking, okay, they'll go to grandma's house, we'll go to grandpa's house, we'll go to the village. Some of us are already planning that. Right? But if your child is always, that's the word now. So it's not just a one-time thing. The child is saying, I don't want to go. I don't want to go to uncle's place. I don't want to go to auntie's place. I'm not going. It could be an event. I don't want to go for. It could be a wedding, as happy as you think the child should sound, but the child is saying, I'm not. I don't want to go for a wedding. So instead of saying or beating the child, you must go. Come, let us go. Ah, no, you must go. Ah, you must go to the mass. I think you want to sit down and then ask your child, why don't you want to go for the wedding? Why is it that you don't like going to grandma's place? Why is it that anytime I talk about uncle, after as parents, if you notice when I started this whole thing, I started with connection first. Because you have to understand who that child that you're parenting is. You have to know their behavior so that you can easily identify. Because not every child will speak, right? But you should be able to read their body language, right? Now, so when a child is beginning to withdraw from going to certain places, it's something you want to watch out for, right? If a child frequently is not showing tantrums, I mean, if you think the child is really irritated, or she is shouting, they want to bring down the building, they are banging the doors, you want to say, hey, what's happening with your child? Hope all is well with you. I said, don't just dismiss it and he's angry. When he's fine, he will come back. No, something is wrong somewhere. Don't dismiss it, right? Bedwetting. Hmm. We've seen children who have stopped bedwetting begin to bedwet again, right? So if your child who has stopped for 3, 4, 5 years, he or she has stopped bedwetting, and by the time he gets to 9, 10, 11, 12, they have picked it up again, like bedwetting again. It's something that you should be concerned. Don't start beating the child. Hey, as big as you are really on the bed. And see, no, something is wrong. Something is wrong somewhere. So you want to ask, you want to be observant. Why is this child bedwetting? Because most times we also, research has shown that children who are being bullied, for instance, they bedwet. Some of them, right? Is your child having trouble sleeping? So you really bad into the child's room, and the child is turning. It's just turning on the bed. The child is not sleeping, right? You want to check that. Um, you also okay. Let's also talk about a child not going to school, right? Every morning, the child cries. I don't want to go to school. It could be because the child is being bullied, right? Because anytime he gets to school, somebody in school will beat him, we collect his snacks, or we beat her, we say bad words to him or her, we body shame her. Right? So don't just say, I know you are trying to be difficult, and you heard it again this morning, and you must go to school. I think you want to find out, why don't you want to go to school? Why should every morning you're crying? Right? Now, it's something that you want to pay attention to. Yes, because I mean, children should be happy going to school. I understand that children should get tired once in a while. Oh my God, go to school. But when is that? Don't forget that it's repeated. If it's continuous, then you want to turn on your satellite. You want to beam it on that. So why is this child always crying in the morning, right? Amazing. So you want to think of it as an alarm, that turns on when there is smoke. If there is no smoke, that's an alarm. They say if you go to some hotels, they have it. And when there is smoke in the room, that alarm turns on. So you want to check it. So why is my child behaving like this? Why is my child behaving like this? Why is my child always crying when I talk to him about his uncle? Why is she always crying when I tell her let's go and visit this auntie? Why is that? So you must look out for those events. You must look out for those people. And then, of course, if your child has been abused sexually, they have been involved in an accident, if you know, for instance, that they have been, of course, in abuse or they've been involved in an accident or something like you don't bad that I have explained, then of course you know that naturally that would make you to be traumatized, right? You want to, of course, seek help. Seek help for them. Children don't need perfect parents. I mean, life happens. We ourselves we are not perfect, right? But children need to know that they can be safe around their parents. Again, how safe are you? How safe is your home? Is your child able to come stay to you? Their mom, this is what I'm going through. Their daddy, this is what I'm going through. Now, when your child also tells you things, don't be quick to judge. Please listen. Don't say, I'm sure you were the one that did something to that uncle before he flogged you. Or, you know, at times we are very judgmental when it comes to our children. As they are talking, we don't even allow them learn, but and then we're jumping into conclusions. And please do not assume. Listen, listen. And let the child know that I can tell my mom anything, I can tell my dad anything, right? Yes. And on the child saying to me, hey, hey, a child is telling you that something happened to her. And then you want to cry more or you are not able to control your own emotions. That can be like, hey, I'm trying to tell my mommy something. For instance, is this deep? And I've just gone like this. And she's already panicking. Try that. Let me save her the trouble. I wouldn't want her to faint. I wouldn't want her to feel bad. So your own emotions, when a child is telling you something too, you have to check it. Because if the child sees that you panic too much or you be worried, the child may just want to spare you all of that. Right? So a child is telling you, hi gift, I see it. You know, a child is telling you something. Just if you can pretend so that you can hear all the information. Don't be quick to look to conclusion. Oh, so this is what happened to you. How do you want to hear the remaining story? How do you want the child to tell you something again? Because you just feel my mommy can't take it, my daddy can't take it, and then the bottle of trauma, right? So please let's pay attention to these little things that really matter. Now, again, like I said, please let's pay attention. Be curious, do not be judgmental. Find out about so why are you behaving like this? I've noticed that of recent you're now beginning to act this way, act this way. Again, say someone who has an eagle eye, right, to notice such changes. Now, as parents, of course, they said this is just an introduction, but hey, for you now, was there anything in your own childhood while you were growing up? Because recognizing your own trauma point or pain will also help you while parenting. Okay, so while you were small, were there also events, were there places that really traumatized, were there places you didn't want to go to? Did you, how easy did you find it to talk to somebody? Right now, or did you ever even talk to somebody about it? It's something that you want to think about because that will also help you to know what might be going through your child's thinking. Now, all of these signs I've mentioned, have you noticed any of them in your child? Have you noticed any of them? And then, of course, if you have noticed them, please do not live in denial. Don't assume. Ask questions, please. You want to sit that child down. So this is what I have noticed. What has happened? Right? And if you see that this child is constantly avoiding a place of learning, of course, you want to reach out for help. You want to reach out for counseling. Okay, so this week is a form of an assignment, right? I need you to go back, be more observant, right? Watch out for your children's behavior. And again, like I said, please don't be quick to ship your children to places. So if they're happy with it, you also want to ask them. Okay, so once you go there, what will happen this holiday and all of that? If they're not happy with it, please seek them down. Don't dismiss your child's thoughts, thinking, words that they have put out to you. Take it very, very serious. Okay, so I think this is where we'll stop today, and then we will continue with this series next week. I think I said like for a couple of weeks from now, we'll just be talking about trauma and then throwing more light into trauma. Okay, so thank you all for joining. So sorry about the network glitch that happened at the beginning. Yes, let me just start with. Thank you for joining. I remain your favorite counselor with Claire. And until I come your way again next week, Sunday at 8 p.m. I at 8 p.m. Okay, stay safe, be observant, not be judgmental, create a safe space for your family. Yes, your house should be a safe haven. Okay, thank you for joining. Take care. Bye bye.